My fiancé is drowning in overdue child support, and I am thinking of leaving him. Okay, so first thing I want to say is that I 31F love my fiancé 33M. He's a great guy. Whip smart, kind, funny. A year and a half ago I would never imagine I'd be at this point. We've been dating for 5 years, ever since we met. He works at a call center and I'm a postal worker. We make a moderate income, and the wedding is tentatively in April. Small, courthouse wedding with a tasteful reception afterwards. I apologize in advance for the legal gobbledygook. He hasn't really kept me in the loop, and I'm a mail carrier, not a lawyer. I don't have a head for this. 1 year into our relationship he got a notice for paternity from the state he used to live in, for a 3-year-old boy. So clearly this happened way before I met him. He thought it was ridiculous, but took the ordered DNA test. Turns out, he is the father. Insert Maury audience catcalling here. The mother was apparently mentally unwell, and it turned out the boy was in custody of the grandparents. They offered to adopt the boy if my fiancé gave up all his paternal rights. He jumped at the offer. They pulled some strings. I've heard it's supposed to be hard, but we literally flew down to his old state on the date they told him to, signed some papers in front of a judge, and that was that. I was personally ambivalent about the thing. It seemed like he just gave up all rights to his son without a care. But in the end, it's his business, not mine. I told myself I would be supportive stepmother if the boy ever came to him for help/answers when he was older. There was some messy legal business about arrears child support because the mother apparently was on welfare for years and the state wants repayment from fiancé. I don't know much about it because he refuses to share. Only that it's around $20K. For 3 years. Damn. A couple years go by, I take fiancé to the DMV to renew his license because it's way past expired and he won't do it. Lo and behold, it's suspended. Why? Past due child support judgment for another child. A 12-year-old girl. $30,000. Fiancé is literally sick. And I mean he threw up all night. Worse, in order to get his license suspended he had to contact child support department in his old state and give them all his current contact info, where he works, where he lives. Soon enough, a notice comes through HR. He's going to be garnished 25% of his after-tax pay because of the child support judgment. Reddit, he just shut down after that, stonewalls any conversation regarding the issue at all. I took up more of the bills, but now we're both struggling. We have had to move into a smaller, crappier apartment using my credit alone because his has a big fat judgment on it. He had to refinance his almost paid-off car because he couldn't afford the high payments. There's some kind of hearing coming up. I don't know what it's about because he flatly refuses to tell me. I think maybe it's to adjust the payments based on his current income, which has grown due a promotion. Either way, he hasn't bought plane tickets. Or rather, hasn't asked me for the money because he can't afford them. I think he's not going. It'll be an automatic judgment against him. Here's the thing, he could request a DNA test for the girl. He hasn't, though he's told me he's certain he's not the father. He could hire an attorney. I've offered to front the cost, but he has 1,000 excuses. He'd have to get one in his other state. They'd gouge him because he wasn't there. He doesn't have the time. Excuse. The hearing is in 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on and he's so passive about it that I'm worried. So, I opened up an official-looking notice he received a few months back, but never bothered to open. There's a third child. This one is a brother of the girl. Maybe the hearing is actually about him? God damn it. I just don't know. He has actually left the house for a long walk when I questioned him a few weeks back. I am not a nagging person. Asking him to deal with his bullshit is uncomfortable for me, too. If I have to confront him with an ultimatum, we've reached the point of no return. But I'm almost there. So here's the deal. I love my fiancé. He's $50K, for the first boy and girl, in debt that will haunt him for the foreseeable future. He won't do anything about it, just sticks his head in the sand and hopes it goes away. Maybe he's depressed? He acts normal, as if none of this is happening. There might be more on the way, with the third child. If I stay with him, I'll never be able to buy a house. I will have to make all major purchases on my credit alone. We can never combine income. He has abandoned 3 children. I don't know the full stories of the relationship between him and the mothers, other than it was painful and full of lies. One is his biological child for sure. The other 2 are a question, but they may as well be in the eyes of the state. He doesn't care about them, other than the bi-weekly garnishment on his paycheck. As far as I understand, he's never asked about them once. I had a pregnancy scare last month. Well, actually I found out I had been pregnant via miscarriage. No condolences needed, please. I didn't tell him. It's done. But the first thought in my head after I realized, what came out, was my child would have been 4th in line for any support if things went south. Who says he wouldn't abandon me, too? We do plan on having children eventually. My heart loves this guy. My head says I'll be throwing away my financial future if I stick with him. What does Reddit say? Update. Unfortunately, someone linked my previous post from another subreddit, so the post was locked and deleted. The basic gist was my fiancé had stuck his head in the sand and was ignoring child support notices and hearings to the tune of $50K for children conceived way before our relationship started. After the second surprise child, he had completely shut me out on the subject. I opened up some of his forgotten mail and saw there was a notice for a third child. To recap, baby 1, 3-year-old boy. He was able to give up his paternal rights in favor of the mother's grandparents because the mother had mental health issues. $20K child support in arrears. Baby 2, 12-year-old girl. $30K ongoing child support. I don't know the story behind this one, and he isn't talking. Baby 3, brother of 12-year-old girl. The birth date was on the paperwork, but he took that letter with him. Thank you for all of the comments, PMs, and valuable feedback from my other post. The ones that told me I, too, was sticking my head in the sand really put it in place with me. As did the ones who gave professional insight that it was simply not possible for him to have been completely blindsided with all 3 children. So I was in a mood when he got home tonight. I showed my fiancé, who I'm now calling Johnny Appleseed, thanks to a previous commenter, the letter I opened about the third child. Luckily, he didn't get all huffy about me opening his mail because I was not in the mood. Johnny's face just fell and he said it was impossible for him to be the father of the third child. He didn't know about it not having opened his child support mail over the last few months. That the mother of the 12-year-old had one child support judgment against him for the girl and now was clearly looking for more. I told him I thought that was BS and I wanted the truth now, that I'd been looking through his old state's law and the courts can't have ruled him the father of the 12-year-old without evidence. He pulled his usual Stonewall stuff, said it didn't matter, because there was a judgment against him, he was screwed for life. He actually started to cry. I kept on him. Finally he told me the truth. He and the baby mama were in love since they were teenagers, but it was an on and off relationship. She was drama. She got pregnant and he was there for her, but right before the baby was born she told him he wasn't the father. He was stubborn and proud, and still signed the birth certificate. But he left her soon after at her request, and didn't have any contact. Why didn't he get a DNA test? It was expensive and his heart was broken. By the end of this, he was crying. I started crying too, and I told him I can't marry him right now with all this going on. OMG, did he go instantly from sorrowful to pissed. He kept asking me how I could do this, that I knew about the child support going in, that he'd always been honest with me. No, he'd said nothing, or insinuated she put his name on the birth certificate, not the same as honesty. That he knew baby mama was trying yet again to ruin his life. The judgment was already in, there was nothing he could do because the courts always ruled in favor of the mother. There was no point in trying. This was all her fault for trying to ruin his life, and by taking her side over him I was letting her. Reddit, I'd like to say I threw in some good zingers. The fact is, when things get heated my brain stalls out. I said some things about how he was handling the situation, keeping me locked out of what was going on with the upcoming hearing, that if this kept blowing this off he could go to jail, but my delivery sounded kinda lame even to me. It's never like how I practice in my head or can type out here, you know? Then he started asking me if this was about a male coworker I had once given a ride home, like 3 months ago. If I had an affair with him. WTF? No. I took off the ring, his grandmother's, and told him to take it. That he needed to move out tonight, stay with someone else, and give me some space. The wedding was off, and I needed a few days to consider the rest of the relationship. He kept asking me why, like he couldn't believe I was breaking off the wedding because of a little old thing like $50K in debt, 3 surprise children, and a complete shutdown of the subject. Then he called me shallow, that money means more to me than love. It went on, but I'm already sick of reliving this. He does swear there is no possibility of any more surprise children. Period. He packed a duffel full of clothes and left, having convinced himself that I was either cheating on him or shallow and money hungry. So I spent the evening rereading comments, I've done the right thing, right? And browsing for rent sites. The lease is in my name only because of the judgments on his credit report. Ugh, this is what I've become, lying to landlords because of my deadbeat fiancé. He probably has some sort of resident rights anyway. Meh. At least he's out of the apartment for now. I texted him a long message an hour ago, Johnny, before we join our lives together, I need to know you can handle your responsibilities like an adult. Go to the hearing. I will help you with a lawyer, with a plane ticket. Whatever. If you treat me like a partner, maybe we can rebuild our relationship. I love you. He hasn't answered. I hope he listens to reason once he cools down. He has so many good qualities I had to share the very worst in my post to you all. He would be an excellent father if he wanted visitation, and I am willing to put in the work to sort this out and move forward with these kids if he is. He's convinced himself he's screwed for life, and I think it's paralyzed him. It's a terrifying place to be. I know, basically everyone wanted me to kick him to the curb, but I'm hoping this break is enough of a come-to-Jesus moment for him to prove he's not a deadbeat. Basically, if he wants to fight for this relationship, he has to go to the hearing and handle his business. Get on a payment plan, and keep on it. Then relationship counseling. Lots and lots of relationship counseling. Then, we'll see? I still may break up permanently, but at least he'll have sorted out a thing or two. Maybe I'm just holding on to hope. So that's it. I really wish I had thought of something awesome to say during the argument, but life isn't a movie. Ball's in his court. Let's see if he mans up or not. Anyone been through anything like this before? I did blindside him a little because I, too, had been way too passive in letting this slide. How do I help him help himself? Edit. He hasn't answered the text with the offer to help. I've called the landlord and requested a new lock for the door. He's not on the lease, and it's probably not legal, but as someone pointed out, and I agree, he's adverse to going to court. Responses have been passionate. I don't think I was clear. We're essentially done. I returned his grandmother's ring, told him to give me space. If he accepts help and steps up to his obligations to his children with no backsliding, only then will I consider taking him back. Not for immediate marriage, JFC. I'm not insane. Not to get pregnant, as some lovely commentator suggested. But considering it's morning and he still hasn't answered the text, it probably doesn't matter. Update 2. The original post was locked and deleted because someone linked it from another subreddit. I've pasted the contents in the first comment. Here's the link to the first update. I don't even know where to start. After I called off the wedding and returned his grandmother's engagement ring, he packed a duffel full of his clothes and left. It's been about a month, and I haven't heard a peep from him. I changed the locks on the apartment, but he hasn't been back for his stuff anyway. He blocked me on Facebook, and when I gave in and tried to give him a call a week later, he'd changed his phone number too. I heard he was staying at his best bro's house, courtesy of bro's girlfriend. Trust me, I went through all the stages of grief, denial, anger, acceptance, etc., and I finally accepted he wasn't coming back. I thought maybe he'd gone back to his home state to be with one of the baby mamas, but his car was parked in the parking lot at his work. I may have drove past once or twice. The hearing was scheduled for early this week. Finally, tonight, I plucked up my courage and went to the best bro's house to confront him. The least he could do is get his crap out of my apartment, right? I grabbed up his many unopened child support notices and a picture of boy number 1 he left on his dresser. It's the only picture of the 3 kids that he has, and he left it behind. Best bro answered the door, and what followed was just about the most awkward conversation ever. I can't remember the conversation verbatim, but I asked where ex-fiancé was, and best bro said he wasn't there. He was being all evasive, so I asked if he went to the hearing or not. Best bro looked confused. What hearing? I told him the child support hearing for his 3 kids. Best bro looked super confused, like I was crazy. Then he asked if I was seeing anyone else, other than ex-fiancé. Of course I wasn't. I gave best bro a very abbreviated version, kicked ex-fiancé out BC he was ignoring his child support from his baby mamas, he had a hearing earlier this week. I was getting loud because I'd been bottling this up, and best bro's girlfriend came out to see what was going on. She's the one who told me, her exact words, "Your man lost his damn mind." The weekend after I kicked him out, he went out to a bar with best bro for some good old girl bashing. He met up with some 22-year-old bartender, and hooked up. Reddit, he married her last weekend. Drove up to Reno, we're a couple hours from the Nevada border, and did the whole Chapel of Love thing. Best bro and his girlfriend were the witnesses. They hadn't really supported his decision, but he had them convinced I was a cheating whore, and he was so heartbroken. Plus, best bro's girlfriend implied later that he'd overstayed his welcome by crashing at their house for most of a month. I was shocked and pissed and wanted to cry because I sorta got the vibe that best bro still didn't believe I wasn't cheating. So I grabbed the court documents from my car and gave them to him to pass along to my ex. I doubt they'll open them up, but the fact they're from his old state county's child support division should be good evidence. I don't know why I should care about their opinion. Neither one of them called me during this. I thought I was their friend, too. But they believed him. Now I'm back home, surrounded by his crap, and trying to sort out my feelings. I feel like I've just watched someone blow through all the bridge is out warning signs and drive off a cliff. I told my ex I'd help him get a lawyer for the hearing, help him with the plane ticket. Instead of taking care of his business, he went and married some chick he'd known for, like 2.5 weeks at most? I think. I'm not in the mood to drag out a calendar. Let's be generous and call it 3 weeks. I should feel bad for the girl, his new wife what the fuck, for what she's just gotten into, but she must either be a real piece of work herself or just an idiot. Who marries someone they've known for that short of time? And I know someone out there is thinking, you're an idiot. He had to have known her for longer. He was cheating before this. Well, I'm certain he wasn't. He's a homebody by nature. There was never any missing time in our relationship, and best bro was pretty clear they'd met at the bar that night. So basically, instead of going to his child support hearing, he was moving in with his new wifey, and probably doing what newly married people do. I hope they're happy together. Ahahaha. Of course I don't. I guess my next stop is the legal advice subreddit to figure out what to do with his stuff. He might have a contempt of court warrant out for him for skipping the hearing, so I doubt he'll sue me if I toss it all, but I do want to cover my butt. I know I need to ask a question, so here it is? What in the world was he thinking? Out of all the options he had to him, he picked the very worst. What was he thinking? I loved the man, but even I can admit he's not classically good looking. He had nothing to offer but a low-paying job, and being practically homeless. And finally, what is wrong with me, that I feel terrible he's found some new way to fuck up his life?